Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. And today our goal is to be able to share topics that you will be interested in and that the guest will help to empower you as you grow as a leader and in your confidence to take your business from where it is today to the next level. Today, I'm so excited. My guest is a friend and fellow Toastmaster, Jim Fuhs. Jim Fuhs is president of Fuhsion Marketing and does marketing the Marine Corps way. Jim is a retired Marine Corps lieutenant colonel turned digital marketing consultant, speaker, live streamer, podcaster, remote live stream and virtual event producer with over 30 years of business and social media experience. Now you know why I have him on here. Jim Fuhs is, see that play in words, Marine Corps leadership with next level digital marketing. His 20 plus years of highly successful leadership experience as a Marine Corps officer led him to bring that bear in the ever-changing world of marketing and technology. Jim collaborates as a remote live stream producer and has led and assisted and coordinated production teams with clients such as IBM, StreamYard, United Nations Global Compact, MIT, Toastmasters International, GlaxoSmithKline, Jamaican Chamber of Commerce, USA Biz Party, which has included speakers such as Gary Vaynerchuk, I probably said that wrong, Seth Godin, and Darren LaCroix, plus many more. Please join me in warmly welcoming Jim Fuhs.
Thank you, Vicki. It's great to be here today, and really excited to be on your podcast. And really excited with what you're doing and how you've taken that leap out there to really share your voice and help people grow. So thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor.
And that's what it's all about. It's, how can we help others see and realize all of the potential that they have? So today's theme is how to overcome your fear of live video. And I'm sure everyone out there could put in chat or, acknowledge that there is some fear, even for those of us that do it all the time. There's that fear of what could go wrong. What are we going to say? How are we going to say it? How's it going to be received? And, I just look at some TikTok videos and I think, heck, anything goes. The crazier you are, the better it is. So I like to always start off with an icebreaker to really help me and my audience get to know those that are speaking. And so the simple question is, let's tell everyone, where do you call home?
I actually call home Marietta, Georgia, and called it home now for a little over 4 years. Got married in October of 2018 and married my wife, Karen. We actually met in elementary school and reconnected on Facebook in 2017. And one thing led to another. And now here I am living in the Atlanta area and really love being here. I've made a lot of friends through Toastmasters and the American Legion group that I'm a part of as well. So really, really love it here. because, you can also, it's easy to get anywhere from Atlanta, right? That's what I think people don't always realize. We got the airport with Delta. You can go just about anywhere, and you can go east, west, south on the road. So it's a great home base is how I look at it.
That's absolutely true. Share with us your time as a Marine. How has that prepared you for your career that you have today?
Well, I'm not like every Marine in that not only was I an officer, but I also enlisted. So I'm what's known as a Mustang. So I went to boot camp right out of high school, went to Paris Island, South Carolina, then went through ROTC, and then, did another 20 years as an officer. So the Marine Corps has been a part of me since I was 18 years old. And so I think it really formed me in one, giving me the self-discipline, also being in situations of having to really adapt and overcome. Mm-hmm. And so when a lot of people have panicked, especially over these last couple of years, it's kind of like, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. It's just life, right? Things are going to change. No need to get all worked up about it. Just figure out, okay, we got to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a bad decision, right? It's better than making no decision at all, because I think people have a resistance to change. And I kind of remember when I lived in this small town in North Carolina before I moved here, that a Walmart came to town and everybody was up in arms, because all this time they'd been fighting it like, oh, we can't, but it's like, it changed. You didn't do enough to stop it. So now what are you going to do? You're just going to complain, or are you going to move, or are you just going to say, okay, how am I going to adjust to those changes? And so I think these last, several years, and that's, even kind of what we're talking about today when it comes to live video, not something that we necessarily expected to happen the way it has, but even like Cisco had predicted back in 2020 that, 80% of companies would be using video. It's probably there, but now think how many times you've been on a Zoom call, probably on a weekly basis. And so the Marine Corps prepared me, one, to be decisive, to also learn, like, even if you're panicking on the inside, you don't on the outside. Especially as a leader, you have to be that calm voice of reason. I find it interesting, recently watching the Super Bowl, how some people talk about how, like, the Rams coach, like, oh, he's all fiery and jumps up and down. And then you have the guys like Bill Belichick that are like very calm, on the sidelines. And I think I tend to lean towards the Belichick thing, because I do remember that one of the things I was told by some of the Marines that used to work for me, that it's like when they saw me going somewhere, they always knew I was going with purpose, and I never seemed like I was like, panicking. And so I think that's important. We have to keep ourselves in check. You could have a high degree of stress about things, but you also have to say, okay, what's my plan? And of course, as we like to say in the military, sometimes when the plan hits execution, a lot of times things go out the window. And even this past weekend, I was speaking at an event with my business partner, Chris, and we were doing a virtual presentation. His internet went out half an hour before we were supposed to go live, and we were going live through his eCam. And thank goodness he had not got rid of his other internet. He literally had to switch his internet from one to the other. But it was kind of like, okay, let's just calm down. What are we going to do? I just contacted the event coordinator and said, hey, we're having a little internet problem. Can you move us in the schedule? It all worked out, but still, right, we could have been losing our minds and freaking out. But it also next time makes you think, okay, just in case next time, maybe we should record our presentation just in case something like this would happen again.
Yeah, because how many of us have more than one internet, right?
Right.
Not too many.
Yeah, it was just because he'd been too lazy to cancel it.
Well, sometimes procrastination does help.
That's right.
Not too often, everybody. No, take action.
Right.
All right. The theme is how to overcome your fear of live video. And you kind of touched a little bit on it, but take us on the journey of how you got your start with the Tim and Jim show and why live video.
Yeah. So it's actually a little bit of a funny story because I had gone and volunteered at Social Media Marketing World in 2018 for the first time. And so at the end of the conference, we had like a beer tour, and I met this lady named Kelly Noble Mirabella, and has her own business doing social media marketing. In fact, now she's transitioned where she's one of the top people in the world of chatbots. And she had a Facebook Live challenge because back in 18, Facebook was really pushing, you need to go live, you need to go live. And, it's kind of one of those things, if you're not willing to do it yourself, how can you get other people to do it? And that's, even for me in leadership positions, so it's always been, right, if I'm going to, talk the talk, I got to be able to walk the walk. Mm-hmm. And so I did her live challenge, got me a little bit of confidence. And then I was watching someone's show, and I had started doing, some people even now probably haven't heard of Instagram TV. They were talking about it, and I had done a few episodes on my Instagram, and they were like, has anybody done Instagram TV? And I put in the chat, all I have is like, oh, well, how'd you like to come on screen? So they invited me on. It was a Facebook weekly show. And so I started talking, and then Tim was actually watching, on the live stream, and he reached out to me and said, hey, how'd you like to be on my show? So I was a guest, and then, we kind of hit it off. He's like, well, how'd you like to do a show with me? And I was like, okay. And so it's funny is this started in August of 2018. And a month later, my house in North Carolina was devastated by a hurricane. So I'm doing this show from my parents' house, from my sister's basement up in the DC area, because we had to have the show must go on, right?
Yeah,
so
live show.
It was a live show. And so that really was, not something I expected, but I will say by having a co-host, it kept me accountable that I had to show up every week, that I couldn't just say, well, I don't want to do it this week. We started getting guests, it just continued to grow. And so we've been doing it just about every week since August of 2018. It's hard to believe this August will be our 4-year anniversary. And it's led to a lot of great opportunities and definitely given me a lot more comfort, not only on camera, but also being able to help people by producing stuff or kind of giving people advice on how to get started. But I think that's what you have to do is kind of get over that fear. Like I'm in my mid 50s and I'm able to do this. There's no reason other people can't do it either. You just have to get started. I mean, it's just like with Toastmasters, right? Get out there and do that table topic and then sign up, do your icebreaker. It's really in some ways the same way.
Yep. Yeah. Here's me at 64 started. Crazy.
Young. We're all living so much longer.
That's right. I'm only halfway there, right?
That's right.
So you just talked about Toastmasters, and we both are Toastmasters. How has Toastmasters helped you in your journey to be able to do the lives, to be able to be more effective on screen and in person? We will someday go back to in person.
Right. I think one of the biggest things, and I actually, many years ago in college, I actually took the Dale Carnegie course on human relations and public speaking. So that helped me some. And I do see some similarities between that and Toastmasters. But the truth of the matter is I had not done that in years. So I didn't have that whole evaluation piece. And so where I think a lot of content creators, especially if they're doing video or even podcasting, don't think about those things like ums and ahs and how your, presence is on camera. And so where I think Toastmasters is valuable is you have someone telling you, as an example, maybe you're moving your hands too much. Maybe you're not looking at the camera. These little things that will just make you look better and allow you to deliver your message better, because you want people to focus on your message and not on necessarily you. And so if your habits as a speaker are distracting, that's really going to take away from you as a presenter. And the more polished you can become, because some people like say, oh, well, I don't, I trust me, I want to be a better speaker. I don't want to be doing ums and ahs all the time. And I'm sure the funny thing is, and I'm sure it happens to you, Vicky, is once you start going through that, then when you're watching other people speak, you're looking for those things yourself. Yep. And so it really helps you get that confidence when you speak, because now you kind of have an idea that, oh, let's have some vocal variety. Or even I had been teaching classes in community colleges, both in person and online. And I think sometimes we take for granted that it's almost like I could deliver some things in my sleep. Mm-hmm. And maybe sometimes we're delivering it as if we're in our sleep. And we have to think about the fact that this person may be seeing you for the first time. So we have to act like every time we're speaking in front of an audience, even if it's the same message, it's like it's the first time they're seeing you. It's that first impression. And I really think that's where Toastmaster made me think about, you know what? Don't take for granted that these people have seen you before or understand you. Make sure you bring that energy level. It's like, playing, being an athlete, being in a game, right? It's like you got to get yourself psyched. And so part of being your best is training. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think Toastmasters is so valuable in that regards. And it's affordable, right? I mean, you can go get a expensive coach if you want to, but if you're just starting out, I think it's a great way for people to get themselves and make sure that's really what they want to do.
Yeah. You talk about athletes, and that that's one of my target audiences, because it always kills me where this super talented, wonderful person gets up to the camera and the microphone and speaks, and you just cringe. Mm-hmm. And it's such a simple thing for us to help them with.
Absolutely.
I'm really sure that our audience is thinking, well, maybe someday I'd like to do a podcast. Or live stream. What would you share with them about the benefits of having a partner, as you started to talk about earlier, as well as tips if they want to go out on their own? What should they do? So share what it takes to really get started in this.
I think one of the biggest things, and my friend Chris Stone talks about this because he's actually someone that helps people with podcasts. And a lot of times he'll ask them like, well, why do you want to have a podcast? Mm-hmm. And what is it that you're hoping to accomplish with it? Because if your thought is like, well, I'm going to start a podcast because I'm going to get, thousands of downloads and Spotify is going to offer me $100 million like they did to Joe Rogan, don't hold your breath. It may take a while. And so it's a long game, just like being a live streamer is a long game. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to be consistent. You got to have an idea. You got to have a message. I think the benefit to having a co-host, as an example, is even if you don't have a guest, you can have a conversation. As much as, and I've been thinking about starting, if you want to call it, another podcast where it would be, I guess, kind of like you're doing, me interviewing people. It's like, well, who do I interview? What is the show going to be about? You've got to put the effort into it, as you know. And so you got to think about that. Don't just do it to do it. The benefits are, though, if you do it right, you're definitely going to build awareness. Mm-hmm. And if you're not quite ready, one of the best things you can do is maybe be a guest on other people's shows first.
Yeah.
And you may find that that's where you're going to get some of your most growth and exposure, is by being a guest on other people's shows, as opposed to feeling like you got to have your own show. Because I think the other thing and you're doing a great job of it today, is when you're the host, your job is not to talk about yourself and try to be the smartest person in the room, but to highlight your guest. So if you want to have your soapbox, then you can have we call them the talking head shows, where all they do is it's one person talking to nobody because they're recording it. And I think there's a place for that, but I think people like to have or hear the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you got to kind of lay that out. You got to have a plan. In the case of a podcast, and I was guilty of this with my first podcast, is we had probably recorded 14 episodes, and Chris kept asking me and my co-host on that one. He's like, well, when are you guys waiting for? Right. It's like, you gotta do it, whether it's putting those first 3 out because you got them in the bank, and then releasing one a week, but kind of work ahead. So, because otherwise then you get into that, oh my gosh, people are expecting a podcast and I need to do another show. And so that's where podcasting, I think, can make it easier in a way, because you could say, okay, on Friday, I'm going to record 3 different episodes of my podcast with 3 different guests. And you just kind of bank them up with a live stream. It's like, for me, every Wednesday at 11, one of us has got to be there. Now, sometimes we'll have a guest co-host, things happen, but it's like, we want to stay consistent, because if you go from being consistent to inconsistent, people will start to say, oh, I didn't think they were doing the show anymore.
Yeah.
And you'll lose that audience that you started to build up.
Right. Very true. Very true. And it is a lot of fun to go on other people's podcasts because you get to expand your network, but it's kind of nice, as you are seeing, being on the other side and being interviewed.
Yes.
So you do a weekly show, and there are topics that you'd like to cover. So what are some typical topics that you cover on the Tim and Jim show?
So we really like to focus on marketing and small business type things. So like today, in fact, as we're recording this episode, we had a gentleman, Adrian Salisbury, who runs the eCam Academy for eCam. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about how to level up your lives and your Zooms using eCam, because you can use it as a virtual camera. We'll have, authors on that maybe are talking about a business topic. Sometimes we've had people talking about mindset. I think we've even had, thinking about, fitness. It's kind of like that work-life balance. So we really get kind of a variety. And I'll say a lot of our guests come from the fact that as we've built our networks of just getting to know, like, and trust people, at some point you can say, hey, I'd love to have you on our show. It's not always, oh, I'm going to become your friend because I want you to be on my show. But we've had Bob Berg has been on our show. We've had Mark Schaefer on our show. A lot of really big names in the marketing space and self-development space. And so it's really fun to do that. And, like I said, coming up on 4 years, we've got StreamYard actually sponsors our show by providing us the software to use. But it also leads to us getting asked to be guests on other people's shows as well.
As I do. You actually helped me for a couple years to help me with all of the back of the stage, I guess, for when I was a region advisor. And we did you were also a guest for my shows that were the boot camp for social media. And you do know so much about social media. You have great advice about social media. Speaking of advice, what would 3 things be, 3 pieces of advice that you wish somebody would have given you at 20 and 30?
Wow. That's a good question. Let me think. I would probably say, don't be afraid to continue to take chances on things that you thought about. Like, I used to really be into tech, and then I kind of like let it go away. So if you've got some hobby or passion when you're younger, don't give up on that just because you have to get a day job or something like that. Uh, the second thing would be, don't ever think that something that you have gotten, used to is going to always be there. I mean,
Yeah.
we can look at Blockbuster, Kodak, all these other things that have, nobody ever thought those things would go away. And now it's like, I have a bunch of cassette tapes and videotapes I don't know what to do with. So be prepared for change when things happen. And I would say the other thing is start setting aside money early in life. Start investing when you're young.
True. So true. All right. We are going to do a rapid fire. It's always fun. I'm going to give you 5 words or phrases.
Okay.
And so for each one, I would like you to respond as to why you are responding to this, so that you'll know whenever I ask it, you'll know what the why should be.
Okay.
So what is your best vacation ever?
British Virgin Islands.
Why?
It was amazing. Well, I got to go with my fiance at the time, and we were on a 43-foot power catamaran for 10 days.
Nice.
Going island to island, and one of my best friends and fraternity brothers was the captain, so it was unbelievable. So it's kind of ruined all other beaches for me.
Yeah. I think you probably, after all this pandemic stuff's over, you need to do a redo.
Yes.
Okay. Dog or cat?
Definitely dog. I had a pug, had a lab, golden retriever mixes before that. Trying to talk my wife into let me get a French bulldog or another pug. And I guess for me, I just feel like dogs, right? They want to be with you. It's like unconditional love. I know there's cat people out there. I get it. You like your cats, but cats don't like to hang out like a dog does. So that's my thought.
Unless you have a 30-pound cat and he thinks that he's a dog. All right. I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to say it for the rest of the people. Favorite sport?
Got to be NFL football. And I just wish my team had picked a different name than the Commanders. Would have even had it preferred they stayed with the football team, but we'll see what happens. Anything's possible.
Yes. What is your best tip for networking for all of those entrepreneurs out there?
I would say my best tip would be just be yourself and get to know people first. Don't try to sell them. I think that's, we see it on LinkedIn all the time. You get a connection request from a stranger and they're like wanting to sell you. And it's like, they don't really know you. I mean, I have people asking me if I need help with HR or leads. And I'm like, have I put anything in any of my content anywhere seeing I need any of that help? So I think a part of it is just be yourself. The person that you see and hear in, private groups should see the same person that people see when they see you out in public, because you can see that sometimes. And can be very disappointing when someone that you saw like on a social media type setting and you meet them in person, they're not the same person. It can be very disappointing. So just be yourself whenever you're networking with others.
Yeah. Authenticity is king. Or the last of the 5, pie or cake?
I'm going to go with pie because, especially if it's lemon meringue pie or apple pie or cherry pie, because I'll say it doesn't seem as filling as cake.
Yeah, we can eat the whole pie and not. My sister-in-law spoons the pie. Like she just goes by with a tablespoon and eats it. I don't know where that pie went. All right, so now it's your turn to tell me what 5 tips you would like the folks to leave with, and have the last one to tell us a little bit about Clubhouse and your thoughts on that.
All right. Well, first of all, you kind of led into it a little bit, but the most important thing when live streaming or podcasting, but we'll say live streaming, is not what you might think. It's not your video, it's your audio. So audio is number one, the most important thing. So get a good microphone. When I talk about the Samsung Q2U, it's about $60. It can be used USB or XLR. That will help you sound a lot better. You can even plug it into your phone, which we'll get to this Clubhouse thing later. The second thing is, don't feel like you got to spend a ton of money to get started with live streaming. You can start with your smartphone. They have amazing cameras. In fact, you can plug them into your computer. There's an app called Reincubate Camo that'll even let you adjust the settings on your computer. You could put your phone on the tripod if you want to put it in a different spot. So don't feel like you got to go out and buy like a full-blown camera when you've got something that you may be already using. Or like me, I've started to collect iPhones. Whenever I pay one off, I keep it. So now I have extra phones for extra cameras. And so that's another thing. So I think a lot of people make the excuse of like, oh, I got to get all this equipment before I can start live streaming. So you don't need that. You can start with your phone. You don't even need a computer to do that. My third tip would be get started, right? Even if it's just going live to your Facebook profile where only you can see it, to get over that fear of going live and pressing the button. That's another thing is practice, right? It's just like with Toastmasters. We get better the more we speak, the more we talk. It's the same thing with live video. You'll gather that confidence because I think a lot of us get imposter syndrome. And the truth of the matter is the only person that is noticing your mistakes or is being critical is the person in the mirror. And so I think that's another thing is, get started. Fourth, I would say is go to YouTube University if you need to. There's so many people out there giving great tips on video, and if you're not comfortable with doing live video, record a video, start a YouTube channel, right? I would even say do that over worrying about Facebook. And the reason I say that is YouTube is a place where people go look for answers to their problems. So if you want to talk about things that solve people's problems, record those videos, put it on YouTube, and you'll start to see, one, you're going to leave a legacy out there because YouTube is really more of a it's the second biggest search engine after Google, who owns both of them. Where Facebook, your stuff kind of gets lost. Nobody knows where it is. And so YouTube's a great place not only to put your content, but also to learn as well. And then since you said to talk about Clubhouse, the whole audio space, one, as a Toastmaster, is a great opportunity because it is audio. People are hearing your voice. But I would tell you what's even more exciting is now you've got Twitter Spaces and now LinkedIn audio as well. But if you haven't gotten started, you might want to start with Clubhouse. There's lots of great conversations. Really, I'd say famous, or I think she's famous speaker, Lois Kramer, may have heard of. Every Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern, she does a Clubhouse on how to make money speaking. So if you're a Toastmaster and this is where you're looking to evolve, right, you should get on Clubhouse, get to network with these people. And I've made a lot of connections through these audio apps and having these audio conversations. And the beauty of that is, unlike Zoom, where if you're on a Zoom, sometimes you have to turn your camera off. Nobody cares what you're wearing when you're on an audio app.
No, but you do have to have a good audio.
Yes.
For that.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, it's been so wonderful. We want to share your contact information. So I'm going to share my screen so that people can see how to get in touch with you. Just one moment. So there we go. We have your website at https:// SIONMARKETING. So fuhsionmarketing.com. Another one is https://dealcasters, that's DEALCASTERS academy. And then dealcasters.shop with no S. So http://dealcasters.shop. So what's the difference between those three websites that our audience might need to know?
Yeah, so Fuhsion Marketing is my business website. It's where, I have some things. I do need to update it, though. I will say that. Dealcasters.academy is where we're starting to teach people not only how to become Amazon influencers, but we'll also be launching some courses on, different aspects, how to look better on video, social media, things of that nature to help you if you want to be an influencer or not. And then Dealcasters Shop takes you to my Amazon storefront where you can see all the videos and live streams we've been doing on Amazon.com. And so kind of three different flavors of what I'm doing in the social media world.
Super. And as for social media, we do see your Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So again, you can search out for Fuhsion Marketing, or Jim Fuhs is on LinkedIn itself. So again, those are there. Take a screenshot with your cameras, if you will. And Jim does have a free gift. You were going to tell me about that?
Yes. What I'm going to do is if they reach out to me, I will give them a half-hour consult to help them get started with video.
Awesome. That's a great gift. Trust me, he's a very good resource for you. And so I don't want to leave, although tooting my horn, just 1 minute. This is to really promote that I have been a co-author for a book, one of 21, Unstoppable, and it is available on Amazon right now. You can get the paperback or the ebook for $1.99. But it's filled with 21 women who are they're fearless, and they will help you in your life. So there you go. All right, so enough of that. We're going to stop sharing, and just want to close out thanking Jim so much for being our guest today and sharing your stories, your ideas, your tips, your tools, all those wonderful things. I want everybody to be sure to go to those websites and check out Jim. Take advantage of the free gift. I promise you won't be sorry. We are going to, before we sign off, we really want to remind you that it is not too scary to go on live. You just have to do it.
That's right.
And that is the thing, really. It is all about taking action. Again, thank you so much for being my guest. And I hope everybody has learned how they can take their journey to the next level and enjoy the ride along the way. Talk to you all soon.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.